Hey guys, it's Paul. Hope everybody is having a wonderful day today. Shannon is actually downstairs editing some videos, and I needed to do a video that you guys had requested because I had suggested something. Hope everybody is keeping warm. It is January 31st on the day that I'm filming this, and it's like a cool 16 degrees outside right now. And I know that as cold as that is, it's like much colder in other areas of the United States. So hopefully everybody's warm and comfy and is staying safe. If you're in a warmer part of the world, well, good for you. Anyway, yeah, so today we are going to talk about Disney and DisneyWorld in particular. I mentioned in our last fireside chat question and answer kind of video that the last time we went to Disney, I felt like we had a really bad experience. And I asked if you guys would like to hear about that, and we got a lot of responses saying that you would. Certainly do appreciate that. So here goes. I feel like before we get started, I need to give you a little bit of background because, well, number one, I can't tell a short story, and number two, just to kind of understand where I'm coming from with this, I think you kind of need to know just some particulars. So hopefully you enjoy this. Hopefully it doesn't turn into too long-winded. And the other thing is, I do want to start off by saying, number one, Shannon and I, we do love Disney. We think that they are, incredibly creative company. We enjoy, their movies, their books, their, going to the theme parks. This just happened to be a very bad experience, which I kind of have remembered. We're planning on going back to the theme park, so this isn't like, we're never going there again or anything. I'm just doing this video to kind of share with you what our experience was at one of their locations, and see if you guys have had similar experiences, or maybe, I'm even kind of soliciting your opinions of maybe I overreacted, maybe this is on me. So anyway, this is going to involve one of Disney's restaurants, and as such, I kind of need to talk about tipping for just a moment. So tipping or gratuity, and this is specifically for viewers who may be in other countries where tipping is not a common practice. Here in the United States, when you go out to a restaurant, the server, whether it's a male or female, they help take care of you during the meal. They bring you your drinks, your food. If you're at a buffet kind of restaurant, they will clear the dishes away. They still get you your drinks and stuff. And they generally just take care of you during the meal. There's going to be a gratuity or a tip line at the end of the meal on the bill for that server. It's typically somewhere between 15 and 20% is standard and customary here in the United States. I know that all the viewers here have different opinions about what should be standard. I'm just throwing out there, widely accepted is somewhere between 15 and 20%. That's just a general rule. The reason for that is servers here in the United States are typically paid far less than minimum wage. That's actually legal law here in most states. I don't know about in Florida in specific, but I know here in North Carolina, the state that I live in, that it is legal to pay servers. I think it's somewhere like around $2 and something an hour, maybe even $3. And then they're expected to earn the rest of their money through tips or through gratuities. So it is an important part of their income. I'm not making any commentary about whether it's a good or bad practice. I have my own opinions about that. That's not what this video is about. But I do need you guys just to understand what that custom is and kind of why that's important. The other thing that I just kind of want to say as a little bit of background was kind of the size of this trip for us. So this trip was going to be for 6 people at Disney World in Orlando. We were staying on property at the Wilderness Lodge, which is a deluxe resort accommodation according to Disney. It was 3 different rooms. So 3 rooms of 2 people in each room, 6 people for 9 days total. We were eating all our meals on Disney property. We had theme park tickets, park hopper option, kind of the whole shebang. Basically what I'm getting at is this was a very, very deluxe trip. And Disney's price tags are deluxe because it's all inclusive. They're selling not only going to the theme parks or staying in their hotels, they're selling the experience. It's a Disney experience. And in my experience, my personal experience over the years, Disney has been one of those companies that has just gone over and above to provide their guests with an exceptional experience. They have had such attention to detail That's something that I've always just really admired. Their merchandise has been in the past just top notch. You paid a lot for it. You paid a premium for it, but you got something which you felt was really high quality and very memorable. You got it at Disney, so you were paying what I'm going to just call a Disney tax, but you got something in exchange which carried some value. Personally, now I know that there's going to be viewers that just don't buy into that. Hey, I get that. I'm not saying for or against. I'm saying for me, the Disney tax was always offset by the perceived value that they gave their guests. But I have noticed something is over the past couple times that we've gone to Disney, I feel like the merchandise quality has slipped a little bit, but maybe I might be becoming a little bit more discerning. So I'm kind of going out on my way to find unique things, to purchase. But I have felt that the service and the customer service especially has remained very, very high until this last trip. And so we were eating breakfast. So here we're going to get into the actual event here. So we were going to eat breakfast, or we were eating breakfast at the Whispering Canyon Cafe, which is in Wilderness Lodge. Now I don't know if that restaurant is owned by Wilderness Lodge. I don't know how that works. I know that Disney, like some of the hotel operators are not actually Disney. I don't understand all that. But we were eating at the Whispering Canyon Cafe breakfast inside of Disney's Wilderness Lodge. And so our breakfast total for 4 people, 2 others slept in, but the breakfast total for 4 people was going to be about $80. The tip on that, and it's going to get important in just a minute, it's going to be about $16. So here's what happened. We sat down, our waitress came over. We went during an off peak time, so we were the first people in the restaurant. There was no other guests in the restaurant, it was just us. And so our waitress came over, introduced herself, took our order, no problem. Then a few more guests started showing up in the restaurant, but the whole time that we were in the restaurant, there was no more than 5 tables full. So I just kind of want to give you an idea of how lightly attended the restaurant was. And I only think that there were 2 servers. So our server, she came over, took our order, went back to the kitchen, placed the order, everything was cool. Got our drinks, we're having a good time, we're laughing and talking with our family. We're just kind of talking about what we're going to do that day, what we've enjoyed so far on the trip. Everything's going fine. Another couple comes in and gets seated right next to our table, funny enough. And they were a much older couple. Well, our waitress, who was about their same age, she seemed to know them. And she's chatting a lot with them. She gets her drink order, she goes and gets their drinks, comes back, and then our waitress kind of joins them at their table. Sitting down and chatting with them, which is fine. Honestly, I really don't care about that because, again, there weren't many people in the restaurant, not a big deal. The problem was we, all of a sudden we're out of water or orange juice or whatever it is. Our food comes out. Now our food is delivered by a food runner, so our server is not responsible for that. So our food comes out, and 3 out of the 4 of us had ordered a meal which was all you care to enjoy. So it's not a buffet, but they'll bring an unlimited amount of it. You just have to tell them, hey, I want more bacon, or I want more eggs, or more waffles, or whatever, and they'll just bring more. Well, obviously, to do that, you need a server to come over and say, hey, do you need anything else? And that service was just lacking because, for about 10 minutes, this waitress sat there and had a conversation with this couple. Now, I could have leaned over and I could have said, hey, we need stuff. But that's not what I do. I'm just getting a little bit more and more frustrated. So I got up from the table and I walked up to the front desk very casually and, and asked to speak with the manager. The manager came over, introduced himself to me. And I told him, hey, we're here, we're enjoying our breakfast. The food's great, everything's great. But our waitress is chatting with this couple at this table here. And, and we're kind of being ignored, and, we need to order more food, we need more drinks and stuff. And I'm really not happy about this because, come the end of the meal, she's going to expect a tip based on Disney's prices for food. And, I really don't feel like we're getting good service here. But I strongly believe that no matter what the service you get, I just don't believe in not tipping. I have my reasons for that, which I'll get into towards the end of the video, but I just don't believe in not tipping, and that's just a personal thing for me. So I tried to make the manager aware that, look, I want to leave her a tip, but she's making it so I really don't want to. You know, hopefully you can help me out here. So the manager takes it upon himself to go get our extra food. He basically becomes our server for the rest of the meal. We finish up our meal, and I kind of had expectations as far as what was going to happen when the bill came. He brought our bill to us. There was the full price bill. There's the tip line. You know, I kind of mentioned again to him that, hey, you know, our waitress kind of went MIA during the meal. You know, you basically let her sit there and continue her conversation. The manager even did mention to me that he felt like that couple and her were personal friends because that couple was Disney Vacation Club members, and they came down for like long periods of time. You know, so they knew each other, they had kind of a relationship, and basically he was just kind of telling me, hey, look, we're going to ignore that, which is fine. Totally fine if that's the way he wants to approach it. I think I would have done it differently, but that's okay if that's what he wanted to do. So, so he came back over with the bill and was like, hey, you know, everything good? And I mentioned again to him, hey, well, you know, yeah, well, we had this issue during the meal. And he was like, okay, but you're taken care of now, right? And I was like, sure. So I left the tip, I told him, I said, well, I'm not happy about the experience. He's like, okay, well, I understand. And that was the end of it. So I left a 20% tip, and, you know, we got up and we left the restaurant. We had a couple of things to do real quick before we went to the theme park for the day, and it was still early. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna speak with the front desk about this, you know, because I'm just really not happy with the way things went. So I got the front desk manager to come over. You know, she introduced herself. I said, hey, look, I've got an issue with the restaurant. You know, can I talk to you about that, or is there somebody else? She said, no, you can absolutely talk with me about it. So I kind of rehashed the whole thing, and I said, you know, this really bothers me that, you know, you're charging the Disney prices for breakfast. So, you know, I can go get eggs and I can get waffles anywhere, and I can pay a whole lot less for. I mean, it's, you know, $8 at a Waffle House for the same meal that I had that I paid $24 here for. You know, it's $10.99 at Golden Corral. You know, I'm really expecting the experience, and I'm expected to tip as if I got that experience, but I didn't. And when I mentioned it to the manager, he just kind of was like, okay, well, I'll serve the rest of your meal just to kind of take care of this, but I don't feel like he did anything to help the situation. I said, and I'm really disappointed with the way that was handled. Now, my expectation at that point, so let me stop the story here. Let me tell you what my expectations were. My expectation for the manager of the restaurant was he could have done one of a couple things which would have been acceptable. Acceptable, he should have taken care of the rest of our meal in terms of getting us served, whether by our original server, by him. So he did that. Great. Got us through the rest of the meal. I feel like he should have offered some sort of compensation for the trouble that we went through with the aggravation. Whether that was in the form of taking one or two of our meals off of the check, taking some kind of discount off of the check, or even, now this has been offered as well to different Disney guests in offering, you know, fast passes. Basically like, hey, look, you know, we realize we held you up here. It took a little bit longer than we were hoping for, but, you know, as a way of saying we're sorry, we're going to give your family, you know, 2 fast passes each for each member of the, you know, you can use them anywhere you want in the parks, except for like Flights of Passage in Pandora, which had just opened. That totally would have been okay with us. We would have paid the full price for the meal. We would have, you know, we would have been fine. Going over and above, had he just wanted to just blow us away with service, he could have just comped the meal. I would not have expected him to do that, but that's something that could have happened, and that's also a not unusual thing either. I feel that they totally failed at service in the experience. So I feel that in order to make up for that, something should have been offered to the customer, and this is the important part, without me asking for it. I don't feel like as the customer, I should have to ask for them to do one of these things. They should understand that if I get up from my table, from the meal, and go and make a complaint, at that point, that's me telling you I'm not happy, and I'm so much not happy that just getting us through the rest of the meal is not acceptable. You know, you kind of have to do something to fix it. Getting us through the meal is the minimum. That was expected when we walked in the door. So that was my expectation from the restaurant. The manager did not do any of those things, so in my mind, he failed. That's why I went to talk with the front desk manager, to basically make her aware that, hey, look, you know, I feel like this is the situation. I feel like he had a chance to fix this. He didn't. I'm just really not feeling good about this. I wanted to give her an opportunity to fix it. And once again, she kind of did the same thing the manager did. She was like, well, did you eat? I'm like, yeah. She was like, so what are you coming to me for? And I was like, well, you know, I feel like he could have done a couple of things for us here. So she was like, well, what do you want me to do? And then just stood there and looked at me, and I was like, I felt like it was almost like a used car salesman kind of thing, like the first person who talks loses. And so I mentioned to her, I said, I feel like there was a number of things that could have been done at the time, but, you know, here we are at this point. She's like, well, so what do you want me to do? And I was kind of caught flat-footed because I was like, well, gosh, you know, I mean, now I'm really upset that they've let it get to this point. I'm telling them there's a problem. I'm telling them there's a way they could have fixed it and they failed. You know, I'm giving you another opportunity. You can step up to the plate in here and say, oh my gosh, you know, yeah, we totally messed it up. Let us do this for you. You know, let us reserve seating for one of the fireworks shows. Let us take care of lunch or dinner for you. Let us, you know, we're going to go ahead and we're going to credit your room by an amount equal to breakfast. You know, one of those things. We're going to give you fast passes. Basically what happened is we stood there and we looked at each other for a few seconds, and, you know, I finally just said, well, you know, how about some fast passes? So she was like, okay, fine. She disappears. She comes back with, you know, fast passes. You know, one fast pass per person. Not good at any of the Pandora rides, which I was kind of bummed about. So we used them on Toy Story Mania or Seven Dwarfs Minecart, I forget which. And that was kind of it. So basically what I'm asking you guys is, did I overreact? Should I have been upset about this? Now, I need you guys to know, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to yell and scream in a restaurant. I'm just not going to do that. I don't think that that's right. And I mean, I think unless your safety is purposely being put at risk, I feel that that's just uncalled for. That's just how I'm going to handle myself. So there's certain things I just wasn't going to do. And honestly, I didn't want to spend any of my time fooling with any of this on the trip. I just wanted everything to go reasonably smoothly. We'd pay the price that we paid for breakfast. We'd tip the lady, you know, the proper amount, and we'd be on our way, and that would be it. When kind of things broke down, then I sort of expected the manager of the restaurant to step in and fix things. When he didn't, I really expected the next manager in line to fix things. And to be truthful, I just kind of got bummed out about the whole thing, and I just let it go after that because I wanted to enjoy the rest of our trip. This was like our third day there. We had 6 more days. I didn't want to get, you know, bogged down in, oh, Disney messed this up and everything. But this is something I have thought about, and I think it's just kind of, for me at least, a telling sign that perhaps Disney's customer service or their training or something is slipping, because it wasn't one waitress. It was one waitress plus her manager plus another manager. All in a line. The waitress was not made aware by me that there was a problem, but, you know, by and large, she really shouldn't have to be made aware. You know, I mean, you know, you take care of the tables. You know, you need to check in with them every now and then. If not up there at the table asking, hey, do you need anything? At least visually, she had her back turned to us where when she sat down with the other people, so she could not see our table, so she couldn't look over and see if anybody needed anything, more napkins, more drinks, whatever. To me, it was just kind of indicative that Disney, their customer service may be slipping for some reason. Or maybe we just had the really bad luck of the draw that it just stacked up that way. But I'm kind of interested from you guys, you know, did I overreact with this? You know, is there something I should have done a little bit differently? I think in thinking it through for myself over the past year and a half, I think I'm prepared, if something like that happens again, to be more assertive and just say, here's what's going on, here's what I want. Here's what I want you to do to fix it. You know, I may give them an opportunity. I think I would give them an opportunity to fix it, but I think I'm prepared to be more assertive when it comes time to, to settle up the bill and to say, look, this was our experience. This experience was not acceptable. So I expect for, A, B, or C to happen. That's kind of a tough thing because I want to say this the right way. We get recognized, not often, but we do get recognized. And the last thing I ever want to do is put a negative impression of us out there. I mentioned that, I strongly believe in leaving a tip no matter what the service is. The reason for that is, we're Christians. We pray before our meal, and I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't do that. But other people notice that that's happening. So I am not going to be the table that prays before we eat and then doesn't tip a waitress. I don't care what the service is like. That's just not going to happen. That's why I chose to involve the manager, because I was like, look, the experience is lacking what I expect. The restaurant, in my opinion, should take the hit on that and then do some training with the waiting staff to resolve the issue. If the manager wants to let the wait staff not take care of the customers to their expectations, that's totally fine. But the restaurant should then be prepared to discount the meal down to an acceptable level. Because honestly, when you do anything outside your house, there's going to be expectations involved. My expectation, if I go through Taco Bell's drive-thru, is I'm going to pay about $10 for 2 people to eat. I'm going to be handed my food out the window by a teenager. Maybe napkins are going to be in the bag. Maybe the hot sauce that I wanted is in the bag. Our Taco Bell is actually really good, so this is not a knock on Taco Bell. But if something's not quite right, I don't get terribly upset about it. Yeah, I go back in and we get it fixed and taken care of, but it's not a big deal. If I go to Ruth Chris Steakhouse, my expectations are a whole lot higher because that meal for 2 people is going to be at least $100, probably closer to 150. And I'm expecting a whole lot more to not go wrong. And if it does go wrong, then, hey, I'm sorry, you failed my expectations. Now, does that mean I expect, a discount on the meal if the salt shaker is not completely full or something? No, absolutely not. But for something that's kind of egregious, then, I think that management does need to step up. So anyway, that was kind of my long rant. You got a whole lot more information than I probably wanted to share, but that's just kind of what it is. I am honestly looking for your comments. What would you have done differently? I love seeing those kind of comments about things like this because it helps me kind of frame the situation differently. Maybe I'm looking at it from my own little way and I can't see it any other way. So maybe you guys will help, enlighten me a little bit. So anyway, appreciate you watching. I'm looking forward to reading the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.